Are you ready to shatter stereotypes and silence biases? In the corporate world, the reality is often harsher than we acknowledge. Did you know that despite Asian Americans making up 12% of the US professional workforce, they fill just 3% of executive roles? Or that for every 100 white men promoted to manager, only 58 Black women and 71 Latinas receive the same opportunity? The wage gap is a stark reality as well, with Asian women earning 85 cents, Black women 63 cents, and Latinas only 55 cents for every dollar earned by white men in 2020. As if these stats weren't daunting enough, countless professionals of color grapple with daily microaggressions and biases. Ever heard remarks like, "You're so articulate," "You're not like other people from your background," or "You must be the IT help"? These seemingly harmless comments expose the subtle yet profound discrimination that's often masked as casual conversation. These aren't just numbers or offhand remarks. They're the bitter realities of bias and stereotypes endured by countless professionals every single day. But we're not just here to accept the status quo. We're here to advocate for change. Hello and welcome to the Dare to Differentiate livestream show, where we're all about owning your voice, value, and visibility with confidence. Whether you're tuning in live or watching the replay, I am so delighted that you're here. Comment to let us know where you are tuning in from. And today is a special episode on navigating bias and stereotypes in the workplace. I'm Diana YK Chan, LinkedIn Top Voice, LinkedIn Learning Instructor, and founder of My Marketability, where I help you differentiate your brand and advocate for yourself with confidence. I am honored to co-host this essential conversation with the amazing Dr. Jasmine Escalera, who's also a fellow LinkedIn Top Voice and LinkedIn Learning Instructor. She's an incredible career coach empowering women of color to claim their worth and embrace their uniqueness with confidence. Fun fact, this is Jasmine's fifth time coming onto my show. She's the most frequent guest appearance on my show in the last two, 3 years here. And I'm so honored and delighted to have her back again. So today is not just another day. We are also celebrating the launch of my very brand new LinkedIn Learning Nano course, Navigating Bias and Stereotypes as an Asian American Professional, a course crafted to provide guidance, inspiration, and empowerment. All right, so let me just say hello to the audience here. Hello, hello. Amazing. We have an audience from here, from where? From India here. Hello. Hi, Fred. Hi, Rajit. Hi, Leslie. Great to see you here. Okay, so here's what we'll discuss today. We're going to discuss an inside look at the course creation process, offering you a unique glimpse into the work and dedication behind the course of navigating bias and stereotypes as an Asian American professional. This is also my fifth LinkedIn Nano learning course this year. A thought-provoking discussion on the impacts of bias and stereotypes across diverse cultures and ethnicities, giving us a more complete understanding of the pervasive reach. We're also going to talk about strategies for healing from toxic workplaces and rebuilding confidence, offering vital resources for those in the most difficult situations. And we're going to explore the importance of embracing unique identities and cultural background in combating bias, championing individuality as a strength rather than a weakness. All right, so type in a +1 if you're excited. Type in a +1 here. Amazing. Hey, Rona, great to see you. Amazing. Okay. So some housekeeping key reminders here is that the replay will be available. Check out my YouTube channel afterwards where timestamps will be added. I want to encourage you to click like and comment anytime, engage with one another, share your thoughts, key learnings, ask questions. We want to hear from you. We want to make it as engaging and interactive as possible there, okay? And show some love and appreciation to my co-host here today. Type in #GoJasmine. Okay, so are you ready to confront and conquer these challenges with us? Because change begins here. Now, let's get started. Let's welcome Dr. Jasmine Escalera to the show.
What's up, Diana? Oh my gosh. I was like 5 times. Hell.
5 times. Can you believe it?
I can't, because I was saying to you, as you get older, time flies, man.
I know. The first time you appeared was like back in 2020 in International Women's Day.
God, that feels like yesterday. That doesn't seem right.
And then we finally this year got to finally meet in person and hang out for 5 incredible days at my lecture retreat business mastermind.
I know. And you posted the picture of us like, oh my God, I nearly cried. I remember actually checking into the hotel. I had left Miami so early in the dang morning, and the flight wasn't that long. But when I was checking into the hotel, I was kind of disoriented, and all of a sudden, I see you walking towards me, and I just couldn't even control myself. Like I just like the tears and the feelings, and it was just way too much for me.
I know. It was quite emotional for us to finally meet up in person. And I really felt that our friendship got even closer after that experience
Yeah.
together. I got to know more about you, your mission, your vision of what's important to you. And I feel so aligned that I really want to do more things with you, to collaborate with you. So I was so delighted when I shared with you about this new course launch. And I was like, I was actually scared. Like, our friend Tiffany encouraged me to do a live stream show, but I'm like, I don't want to just talk by myself. It's kind of weird to talk by
Mhm.
myself on this big topic there. So I'm so glad they said, I'm here. Bring me
Yeah.
on. So thank you for being here today.
Absolutely. I mean, this topic needs to be discussed. And after, during the mastermind, you talked to me about the nano course. You had just finished it before you got on the plane. And I remember how passionate and empowered you were talking about the course and just the topic. And I remember saying, Diana, like there are things that we definitely need to do for our respective audiences to bring this to light because these
Yeah.
topics need to be discussed. What people of color are going through in the workplace needs to come to light in order for change to really be able to happen, whether it be within yourself or systemically within the workplace.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So for those who are joining in, we want to welcome you to today's show. What we're going to cover today is Jasmine's actually going to ask me some questions about the course, and then we're going to dive in some questions together. We're going to jam like these important discussions together, and so feel free to chime in. We want to hear from you as well there. So Jasmine, take it away.
Yeah, so I watched the course, and as I was watching the course, I love people's stories, and I heard parts of your stories during the mastermind, and that was the thing that really connected me so much to the experience that you created within this mastermind was that we shared so many stories, not just about our businesses, but about ourselves and who we are, our dreams, our hopes, our aspirations. When I was watching the course, in my mind, I was like, oh, there's got to be a story here. So I really want to know, when you were creating this course, were there particular stories, situations, circumstances, just your life in general, being an Asian American? What did you connect to that gave you that inspiration?
Oh, that's such a good question. And first of all, I want to say that this was actually the hardest course for me to create. I actually, in fact, left at the very end to create it. So there were a bit of, I was hiding a bit of creating this course. And part of it was, who am I
Yeah.
to create this? And it actually brought also a lot of stories that you're mentioning. I actually had to do a lot of introspection, reflection. And when you just asked me this question, what brought me back was when I first moved to Canada when I was 5 years old to London, Ontario, where I was one of the very few, like two Asian Chinese students at the school. And I totally felt out of place. And I remember in the very first weeks, like I got essentially discriminated in terms of who, like, where are you from? Like, go back home. Like, we had these big kids where my brother and I, we got lifted and put us up on a fence. And that was, I still remember this image to this day because it was just I was shocked, like as a 5-year-old child, that someone just put me up on the fence, left it hanging. And like the bus driver had to come save us. And so that was the first encounter where I faced discrimination. And I remember my mom was really upset about it. And she went to find out who this person did this to us.
Oh, I love your mom.
And this was the first time I learned to speak up for myself because she said something along the lines, don't ever do that to my kids again. And so it brought me back to that because it did actually had an impact on me as a child. And part of it is like, okay, I recognize I need to speak up, but then I was also very scared as well to do that. I remember even just fast forward, even in university days, as I was reflecting on this, there were times where maybe I would get made fun of for certain things, or let's say I didn't know how to pronounce a certain word, or I didn't know what something meant. And people would just use casual comments. And I would just kind of laugh along because I didn't know how to take it. I would just be like, yeah, I'm gullible, or I don't know how to pronounce this word. And so it did impact my confidence a bit. It definitely impacted my confidence that I would question myself a lot. So when I went through this course, why it was hard to create, I felt like it brought back a lot of these memories as well.
Mhm.
And I felt that even in this course, I was actually more serious in the way I speak than I normally do, where I have a bit more upbeat energy. At the same time, the reason why I really took this on, Jasmine, was the fact that I felt I had a responsibility. Like being an Asian creator, over
Mhm.
the years, I've been inspired by other Asian creators or other women of color, where that I feel that this is part of my responsibility to use my voice, use my platform to empower other people where they feel that
Yeah.
they don't have a voice.
Absolutely. That is so impactful to say, like, it feel like it was my responsibility as
Yeah.
someone who has a platform, who is a top voice, who's out there creating courses. I feel like it's my responsibility to really take this challenge on. And I think it's so incredibly important that in that story, nowhere did you talk about the workplace, right? And so it's so pivotal and important, and we'll talk about this later, for us to understand that those moments in our childhood in which we encounter bias, racism,
Yeah.
stereotyping, those moments break confidence that then get re-traumatized when you're in the workplace. So if you're experiencing this bias and stereotypes, it just triggers you to think about those things that have occurred and happened even as young as 5
You're
years old.
right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. That's a very good point there, right? Yeah, I want to hear from the audience, right? Like what if for those who have faced situations like this, what are some of maybe those challenges or trauma that you still have that bring you back with these stories that have impacted maybe your confidence or how you navigate the workforce there?
Yeah, yeah. And I really want to give the listeners and the audience a clue into the back end of what happens in the LinkedIn course creation, because when I got asked to do a LinkedIn course, I was like, I have no freaking idea what I am doing. And you sent me voice notes upon voice notes upon voice notes of the strategy and the check this out, and I was like, "Oh my God, thank you." So tell me a little bit about, like, your ideation for the course creation, the process of the course creation. Like, how does that look like?
Yeah, such a great question. I'm going to ask an audience a question. Do you think it takes longer to create like a 10-minute nano course or to run a 1 hour live stream show? What takes longer to create? A 1 hour live stream show or like a 10-minute course?
Ooh, I know the answer.
What do you think, Jasmine?
Well, I think it takes way longer to create a nano course, because I mean, we're at the point in our businesses where we know so much about our audience. You know so much about your audience and their key problems that you can just come up in here and be like, blah, 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 giving all the gems. But these nano courses, these full stream courses, man, they take a lot of work.
Yeah, they do take a lot of work. So just as like the course, yes, the course takes much longer time. Like on average, a nano course, a 10-minute course with the editing, with my help, the assistant, with my assistants there, it takes about 30 to 40 hours to create just one short nano course. So to give you the process, first is we got to come up with the topic. Like what is the angle of the topic I want to take, right? I was given the challenge to create a DEI course, but what kind of DEI course there? So really first coming with the topic with the angle of navigating bias and stereotypes for Asian professionals there. Like that was the first step, is really to understand that angle. The second, even for me, I would say, is just getting really confident as a course instructor of, okay, what do I really want to teach? What do I want to empower? And the way I did for this one that's different from all my other courses was I actually really thought about what are the challenges? Like, what are the challenges? If I was thinking myself as a learner here, what would I have liked to learn? So I took the approach with this course is I want to think about the 10 common bias and stereotype situations. I want to think about, I want to tackle those issues. And I thought about, okay, well, I don't want to just talk about the issues, but I really want to talk about how to respond to these challenges because I feel.
Oh, I think we might have lost Diana for a second. She might be a little bit frozen, but I just want to make sure to give her a second so that she can come back in. As you heard about the course creation process, this is not easy, and you have to check out Diana's Nano course. The reason why I really love Diana's Nano course is because this course gives you templates and scripts of what to say when you encounter the different situations that Diana was mentioning. I love the fact that she provides those scripts and templates because I don't know about you, but when I experience bias, stereotypes, microaggressions, and even straight up racism in my career, I was stunned. I did not believe that in a professional setting, things like this could really happen. And so when you think about how do I respond? What do I say? What do I do? Those reactions and that conversation doesn't come as natural. So with Diana's course, having these templated scripts of what to say during those different situations is so impactful. So check out the course. And Diana, you're back.
I'm back. You did it so well handling it. So, I love what you said about that scripts. Like that was exactly what I really wanted the scripts because I felt like I just needed something to make it more tangible of how to handle if something like the situation happened. What would I say? So I had the scripts, but I also wanted like the 3 tips. That's like my signature way of teaching is like 3 tangible tips of how to tackle it or what to do there. And a big part of this course was all about challenging assumptions.
Yeah.
Challenging assumptions, advocating for yourself. Like I feel like this is my new word now. It's about advocating for yourself, advocating for others, speaking up, voicing your point of view, sharing that. And that was really important to me. So to sum up this journey, I have to tell you, Jasmine, like I remember, so I left it to the very end to record, right? Because I had 4 other courses to record. And technically this should have been the first one, but because there were actually a lot of fears for me, I waited till the end. And interestingly, my content manager, Elmira, really wanted to promote it during Asian Heritage Month by end of May. And so she asked me if I could submit it literally the week during our retreat. So I filmed it the week before our retreat. And I flew out in like 5 days. So I had like less than 5 days to get all this done. And then my VA literally worked around the clock. Within 7 days, he edited everything. And I submitted on the day that you all arrived during the mastermind that day.
Wow.
And so I felt really proud because it was just, I knew I really want to get this out during Asian Heritage Month to really raise awareness and to empower others there.
Oh, I love that. And now I know why you were double fisting champagne on the first day of the mastermind. It all makes sense.
Does it make sense? So Jasmine, that month, I literally submitted 3 nano courses in April.
Oh,
literally 3 courses and preparing for our mastermind. So my mind was just like,
oh yeah. Oh, and I have the pictures of you double fisting the champagne. Those are gonna come out, y'all. Y'all can't wait, right? On LinkedIn, you put a "I can't wait" in the comments if you want to see Diana double fisting.
Double fisting. I know you were wondering why. That's why. That's the behind the scenes here, right?
I love it. Well, you talked a lot about the challenges. The challenges that your community faces in the workplace and how you wanted to tackle that in terms of course creation. But what were some of the challenges that you feel you faced in creating this course? You talked a little bit about the fear and how you actually left it as the last course, even though you should have filmed it earlier. But what are some of the other challenges you think came up for you, or even fears or mindset blockers in creating this?
Yeah, I feel like I feel like this is where my evolution, the growth is, because as I was filming it, there were still a lot of I don't say like who am I, but just like I think it actually just popped up a lot of even I think of other fellow Asian professionals where they faced a lot of the racism, especially last few years, like with the pandemic. Like there were a lot of those things that I think about that I was like, wow, like this is hard stuff. Like this is really hard stuff. And so I want to bring also that light as well, the light and encouragement. So it's a balance between being serious, but also bringing encouragement and empowerment. And so I feel like that was a dance. And from as an instructor, how do I bring that together there? And I also see, and I think this is the reason why it's a challenge is because it's not something I typically talk about, Jasmine.
Yeah.
When you think about the content I've been creating the last few years, I've really been talking more content, more that has more upbeat encouragement to it and more around growth, branding, selling yourself. And I don't really talk about this angle. So in a way, it's definitely my first. It's my first. I know about it. I'm aware about it. I've been asked to facilitate panels at workplaces. And now I've been asked to create a course. So this was like also like something very new to me there.
Yeah. And I think that's so beautiful for you to tap into that, because I find it to be that we have to tackle both areas to become the professionals that we truly know deep down within us we can be. We have to really talk about the hard stuff just as much as we talk about the strategy and the strategic
Yeah.
stuff, the mindset blockers, and what's really going on in here and in here, because we can give the strategies, but it's hard to implement the strategies the way you truly want to or know you can if you haven't yet healed
Yeah.
certain parts of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm curious to hear from you because you took the course. I know the course is named as Navigating by Stereotypes as an Asian American Professional. What did you take away from it watching
Well,
this course?
what I took away from it is that we're all experiencing the same things. It just looks a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
So the names that people put on you, the stereotypes that people put on you are different, but the feelings, the reactions, the
Yeah.
outcomes are all the same. Like the wound looks exactly the same. And so when I was watching the course, what I took away from it was it's applicable to every person of color. It is applicable to everyone from a marginalized community. And that's why I think we should all watch it, irregardless of if we are or if
Yeah.
we identify
I
as
agree.
Asian. So that's what I really took from it, is that, wow, it's the words are different, but the wound looks the same.
Thank you for pointing that out. And I think those who are not necessarily like people of color, I think this is also good to educate
Yeah,
ourselves as well, to
absolutely.
understand the challenges that people of color face, right?
Yeah.
I think just to understand the education piece as well.
And to check yourself. Like
Yep.
what I always say is there are people out there who are malicious and hateful and want to spread hate. But there are people out there who just grew up the way that they grew up and who are open to change and learning and who may not be freaking perfect, because we're all humans. And
Yeah.
so for individuals to watch this and to say, have I ever used or said that in the workplace? Like even when you said you're so articulate, people might presume that that really is some kind of form of like, hey, like positive, a positive saying. But the person on the other end can take it so differently. And you need to be aware of that.
Absolutely. So I have to tell you, when I came here when I was 16, back all by myself to Canada in high school, I always got the comment, "Oh, you're so articulate. You don't have an accent. You don't sound like people who typically just arrived." Every single week, I would receive that when I met someone new.
Yeah.
And I just didn't quite know how to handle it. At first, I was like, yeah. But I mean, I think people could see it as a compliment, but at the same time, I wasn't sure how to just deal with it either. But there were definitely the bias. It goes back to the bias, right? Because they already
Yeah.
have an assumption you're new to Canada, you should have an accent, you shouldn't be as articulate, but you aren't. Why is that?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that brings us into the conversation too, around like really talking about bias in the workplace and even sharing some of our stories, some of the things that we've gone through. And I wanted to really talk to you a bit about, what do you think, it's kind of like bias and stereotypes, right? We
Yeah.
all experience them, but what do you feel is like the impact, the real impact of experiencing bias and stereotypes in the workplace?
The impact as the individual, right?
Yeah.
I feel like the impact is confidence. It
Yes.
is the confidence. If I have to boil it down, there is the
Mhm.
doubt, self-doubt, right? The hesitation, the
Yep.
imposter syndrome. It's all of that because when you look at all these stats as well, it's like I'm not part of that like statistic, or I don't have the chance, so that you question yourself, right? There's a lot of
Yeah.
question yourself, or that you feel like you need to work harder,
Yep.
right? You gotta hustle, or
Yep.
you feel like I need, like, there's so many things that you're thinking about because of that. So I think there's that impact of definitely confidence, but also just how we show up at work and the hours that we put into work there.
Yeah, and I want to echo that so much. I think it's confidence, and that's the one word that all of my clients kind of come to me with is I want to build my confidence. And when you dig into it, you start to see where that, breaking of confidence is coming from. I also truly believe that experiencing bias, stereotypes, microaggression in the workplace changes your perception of yourself, others, and the world. Like we start to really see ourselves in a completely different capacity, that doubt, that fear, that lack of confidence.
Yeah.
But it isn't just about us. What I notice with my clients is they start to have a deep mistrust of managers, authority,
Mm,
people in leadership positions. They start to distrust others, but they also start to distrust the world, meaning companies. They start
mm,
to really think there is not going to be another company that is going to show me the value as a person of color, as a woman of color, which makes them just stay right where they are and continue in the cycle of toxicity and in this
yeah.
cycle of experiencing it. When your perception and your confidence changes of yourself, others, and the world, you just get stuck.
Yeah. You
There's
feel
no way out.
stuck. Yeah. You feel like there's no way out to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Can you share a little bit more about the work that you do? Like, I'm curious of, you were
Yeah.
talking about your clients and, the impact that you have really on your clients and the significance of it. I want to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So, what I really like to do with my clients is I really like to dig into the origins and the stories and the mindsets of why you are presenting in the workplace in a certain way. So,
Mm,
what I found in my own career was, for example, I wasn't asking for more money because when I was a kid, we grew up super poor. And the messages and the programming that I was constantly receiving was money doesn't exist, so don't ask for it. So when I would go into the workplace and everyone was like, you need to advocate for yourself around money, you need to ask for money, there were things that I was doing to try to do that. But as soon as I hit the wall, I would just sort of retreat because it wasn't ingrained in me to think that money truly existed. So I like to really work with my clients to understand who is it that you want to be in the workplace? What is it that you want to achieve in terms of success? How are you not doing that now? And what's the origin story or the narrative you're running in your head that is actually what is causing you to stay where you are and not break through to that path of success that you're looking for?
I love that. I love that. I think what we're diving in here, one of our questions here is around identity. Like, how do we embrace the identity? Like, what advice do we have for professionals of color to maintain their culture identity while navigating these biases in the
Yeah.
workplace?
This
Right.
is such a good question. Oh my God. And it brings me, I'm going to have to be 100% honest with you. And I don't know that I really share this a lot.
Hmm.
So I grew up in the projects, I grew up poor. I loved my childhood. We had a hell of a good time. But I was really embarrassed of
Mm,
how I grew up and where I came from when I stepped into my academic and professional life because I was in a very white male dominated space and people just didn't grow up like I grew up. So when you ask this question of acceptance of cultural identity or maintaining cultural identity, for a long time I was embarrassed to tell anyone where I came from, who I was, and to really assert that in the workplace.
mm, yeah.
And for me, it took recognizing that all of those things that I went through, that my culture, that my identity, that my struggles made me the individual that I was and built this person who was capable of overcoming any challenge in any environment. And that's what helped me to really start asserting myself at work, was accepting who I was, where I came from, but accepting the struggles just as much as the blessings.
Mm. Oh, wow. That is so powerful to hear that, especially when you said asserting yourself. Like, I feel there's power. Like, when you said that word, I feel there is a power in there. And I love this. I really feel like part of embracing our own identity, it's what's really going to give us that voice as well. Like, when we really truly accept who we are. Like, I'm going to take another angle I want to offer is, I love acronyms. Like, for those who follow me, I love my acronyms. So I want to offer my embrace tips here. Number one is my E is educate yourself. To
Yes.
really embrace your own identity, you got to start by educating yourself about your own culture, your own heritage, your ethnicity, to just really understand that, like whether it's through reading books, listening to podcasts, watching films, whatever that is, just to understand and educate yourself. Number two is to really around mirroring positivity. We need to find role models within our own ethnicity or race who can inspire us. I really feel, even as a content creator, the last few years, the reason why I'm more confident is because I'm seeing others who are doing
Yeah.
that. Right? Like, I see people like you, Jasmine. I'm just like, I'm so fired up. Like, I don't know if I ever shared with you this, but a couple years ago, going back to confidence piece, I wanted to be more confident on camera, even though people tell me I'm confident, but I just wanted to feel just even more confident. And you're the person I told, my coach at that time, like, who I want to be able to embody, embrace that confidence, just effortless, just feeling like, I don't know if I share with you this, but I think finding that role model is what's also going to help you step up there. Okay. The next is the B, being authentic. So going back to just being truly who you are, right? Embracing all facets of your identity, right? This could also mean that we need to reject societal pressures to conform and choosing to honor our own unique heritage, traditions, and experiences. Okay. Authenticity attracts authenticity. And this is why I believe a platform like LinkedIn as well, when we show up as a true self, like, we attract the right people, the right tribe as well, that energy as well. It's so powerful. The next is the R, which is reflect and reaffirm. So reflect on your journey, your culture, your struggles, and your triumphs. It's so important to continue to do that, so that this is going to help you reaffirm your
Yeah.
worth, your strengths, your uniqueness. It's not just a one-time affirmation, but an actual process, continuous process to reinforces you to build that confidence and that self-belief there. Okay, my next is the A, is to really appreciate diversity. Really appreciate the diversity, appreciate the diversity that your unique heritage brings to the table, that you provide a unique perspective, that you foster innovation, and that you can enrich any space that you're in, that you occupy. Like, really owning that. Understand that your unique experiences and perspectives are an assets, and that add value and depth to the conversation and decision making as well.
Yeah.
So there were so many times, Jasmine, like, I remember even in corporate, I would wait for my turn to speak up. Like, I
Yeah.
would wait
Absolutely.
for people to speak, or even in school, I would just listen. Like, I'm a really good listener, and I will just listen, listen, listen. And so it's so important to don't just wait, like, just speak up, right? If
Yeah.
you have an idea and a thought there. Okay, my second last one, C, celebrate. We got to celebrate. How I feel like even as the high achievers, we don't do that enough, especially in this whole working hard, hustle type of culture, that it's like, what's next? I feel like we need to take time to celebrate our culture, celebrate our achievements, celebrate our own identity, our traditions, like, really to honoring ourselves, because that's how we really build our confidence, right? Whether it's through music, food, or events, whatever that is, celebrate that. Okay. And then lastly is the E, is to engage. We need to engage with others, like having conversations like this about race, ethnicity, and experience with others is what's going to help people understand. Sharing our own experience can help educate others and combat the stereotypes as well. Having a respectful and open dialogue about the differences can help foster the understanding of mutual respect and inclusion.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I didn't know I was using the embrace theory until you broke it down for me. And I was like, oh, yeah, I do that. I love
Made
it.
it clear, right?
So good, so good. And we actually have a question from someone in the audience that says,
Yeah.
"Why does the role model have to be from the same race? That feels uncomfortable. What do you think?" And I want to hear your thoughts on this. About it's making me almost kind of think about community, about having
Yeah.
people who affirm your experiences. So tell me a little bit about what are your thoughts here on role models, getting that sort of community building and affirmation, or yeah, of your experiences, almost to know that you're not the only one.
Yeah, that's a great question. Why does it have to be from the same race? I don't think it has to be from the same race. Like I get inspired by you too, like
Yeah,
Jasmine. So, but however, I do think there's important discussion here around how representation is important as well.
yeah.
Part of it is also for people to see themselves, see what was the word? See others like in themselves as well,
Hmm.
right? But I don't think it just needs to be from the same race. But I can think we can find inspiration for all different races as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. And I really do believe that when I was going through these experiences of bias and stereotype in the workplace, as you were talking about them in the course, as I was watching the course, as I was connecting to it, I really was thinking back to what did I do to really help me boost my confidence? Because when you were talking about the scripts and the templates, I was like, oh my gosh, like it's kind of scary to think about saying some of these things. And what really helped me to stand up for myself, to, as you said, advocate for yourself, was having community. It was seeking out people who weren't necessarily Latinos, weren't necessarily from my same
yeah,
background, but who really, truly could affirm my experiences. Because there were times where I was gaslighting myself. There were times where I was like, am I crazy? Did they just say that?
yeah,
And it would almost kind of feel like I was secluded. I was in this environment alone. I was the only one experiencing this. And I was the only Latina in the group, oftentimes
yeah,
the only woman of color. So when you are going through that, it is so helpful to have a community to just even affirm that
yeah.
you are going through something and it's okay to feel what you feel and to help you build that confidence.
You're absolutely right, right? That community is what's going to make a huge, huge difference. And I think this is why I'm so excited. I'm proud of the work that you're doing, right? Of really building that community where people feel that they're not alone,
Yeah.
that they're being heard and listened to, that they feel valued. And I think that's huge, right? Because when we talk about back why it impacts confidence, part of it's feeling either they're feeling a bit alone, that people don't understand them. But when you have a community of people who get you, it just makes it much easier to rise,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like even the mastermind that I ran this time around, it was so interesting. I've been talking to other now newer coaches who are interested. One of the comment that I've been getting is the diversity of women
Hmm.
that I brought together as well.
Yeah,
And the importance of that and the power of that, right? Having that diversity of thought.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Diversity of thought, diversity of background, diversity of culture. It was just such a beautiful experience to go there and just to hear, not, I mean, like I said, it wasn't just, for me, the transformation wasn't just about business. And I
Yeah.
shared this when we talked about the transformation on our last live stream. The transformation was truly in my confidence. It
Yeah.
was so magnificent and such a confidence booster for me to have people like you and Tiffany and everyone who else was there say to me, like, I see this in you. It was
Yeah.
such a confidence booster. That is what community does.
Yeah, I want to reinforce that, right? For those who are just feeling a lack of confidence or self-worth, like really surround yourself with people, bring the right people together, of asking them what they see in you. Right? It's very
Hmm.
powerful, an exercise of the qualities they see in you, the value they see in you, the strengths they see in you. Ask them for that feedback. It's very eye-opening, and you're going to feel so touched there. We have a question from the audience, Jasmine, from Leslie. Can you speak to any experiences that are specific to or more common in remote work environments?
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's really interesting because when I think about remote work environments, I truly think about seclusion. Like, I think about you experiencing something and then having no one to support you in that thing because you feel so disconnected and secluded from the work environment, other professionals, the people in your company. And so, for me, when I think about remote work, I think it is so pivotal and important to really cultivate and create that community, whether it be within your company or outside. I would suggest both. But I think that's the most important and key factor. I love remote work because of the flexibility that it's been giving to everyone. I think that we should move in that direction. But I also do say to any one of my clients who is a remote worker, the responsibility is on you to create that community, cultivate that community, get that support that you need. And if you're experiencing what Diana talks about in this course and you're a remote worker, you really need to dig into that confidence building that comes from building a community around you. What do you think about that, Diana?
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. Because one of the biggest questions I get as a coach helping people once they land a job is how do I build my visibility in a remote work
Yes.
environment? So this is the biggest challenge, I would
Yes.
say. It's how do I be known, be seen, be heard? That's like the number one challenge, that the question I have been getting asked this last 3 years from all my clients,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So for those, when you think about it, right, if they're either new to the remote work environment, or they may, let's just say, be even more quiet, right? I think that one of the challenges, feel like that they're not being seen or heard. And so what are some tips around that? What I would offer is, one, I like your thought about, like, it is the community. You need to have other advocates. Have other people who know you, who can also advocate for you. I think that's number one there. Number two, I would say, is that even in remote work environment setting, is appear on camera, like show up, meaning it's not just you not showing, but actually show up, that people can recognize you, be top of mind, like speak up in meetings, right? Ask a question, share your point of view so that people will notice you as well. I think that's really important, right? Even like engage in the conversation, the dialogue. If you're not speaking, engage in the comments, typing your comments there. That is being seen, being noticed. That is very important.
Yeah.
Right. And don't be afraid. Like, if you have an opportunity to present in front of, let's say, management or higher up, take that opportunity, like raise your hand, like ask for it, ask for that opportunity. Right. That's part of going to help you increasing that visibility and confidence. And it's going to help you also, people keeping you in mind to advance your career there. Anything
Yeah.
you want to add from a career advancement standpoint? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think for me too, as you were talking, I was also thinking about, one of the challenges that so many of my clients face coming from culturally diverse backgrounds is bragging. Like, in different cultures, it is actually looked upon as being bad to brag about yourself, and also in different religions as well. So I remember this conversation coming up with a Latina who was from a Christian background, and she was taught that you do not brag about yourself. And that really impacts her current, how she presents herself at work. So I think it's also essential that we do all of the things that Diana mentioned when we are really thinking about our visibility. A part of that is bragging about your achievements. And I think that word brag can be really scary for a lot of individuals, but you have to be telling people what you do that is magic and what you do that is magical. And if you're not talking about it, there's no one that's actually going to know about it. So I think when we think about advocacy, when we think about visibility, we really have to be owning our accomplishments, so much so that they just spill out of our mouth. It's like freaking brag diarrhea. It's just like, I did this, I did this, I did this, I'm amazing. I think that's really important.
You're absolutely right. I want to talk a little bit more of this, because I feel like my clients face exact same thing. It doesn't matter. I feel like whether you're Asian or not, or different things, I feel like bragging, talking about yourself is a big challenge. And so
Oh, hell
let's
yeah.
talk about that perspective. I want to offer a perspective shift around bragging, because a lot of times people feel like, well, I've grown up to being very either humble, or I don't want to come across as too much, whatever.
Yep.
And so I want to offer that perspective shift when we're thinking of, instead of thinking we're bragging and having to toot our own horns, selling ourselves, promoting ourselves, I really want you to think about how you are actually being of service, how through you that you are contributing, that you are adding value, that you're making a difference, that you're making an impact. And when you see it that way, it becomes much easier to talk about your accomplishments and results, because it's not actually just about you, it's about everything else, like through your magic of what you touch, of that impact there. Right. And I think that's a very important distinguish, because a lot of times people think, well, I'm just talking about me, but you're actually talking about the greater impact of the work that you've done. And so one example I would share, like when I think about even sharing my own client wins when they're landing a job, I don't just think about like, look at me, like I did this for my client. I'd be like, look at my client. My client just landed a dope opportunity, made like 5 figures more, finding something much more fulfilling and feeling a lot more confident. And when we've changed that perspective, like I'm so proud of contributing this or helping this, it's much easier to talk about.
Yeah.
It's much easier to talk about, right? And so it's so critical. I would say this is a critical skill. I just sent out a survey to my list, Jasmine. And one of the big challenge that people listed is, one is knowing what their unique value is. The second is being able to talk about their career narrative story. The third is self-promotion and self-advocacy without coming across boastful.
Yeah.
Those are the top 3 challenges that I heard from my list of what their challenges are. And so when you think about that, there's so much work that needs to be done. It's not just say like, yeah, we need to do this, but it's how do we actually do this? And so an exercise I want to offer people to think about this is like my 3-step process here is really think about first is identifying your value, right? Going back to identifying like, what are you great at? What are you known for? What have you accomplished? Identifying that value. Just do that exercise there. Okay, identifying value. Second is once you've identified value is you need to believe in your value. Right? A lot of times I see my clients, they've done the exercise of identifying it, but they don't believe in it yet. This is really that mindset of just really believing it in your heart as well. Like, yeah, this is who I am. Like, what's your saying? Jasmine, you said like, I'm the bomb.
Yeah, I mean, I am,
I'm the bomb, like really believing in it and really those affirmations, believing this is what makes you amazing. Right?
Yeah.
Because that's a critical step, I would say, because I see a lot of my clients that do the exercise of identifying, but they haven't believed in it. As a result, they don't come across or show up as confident there. Okay, so that's a second step there. The third piece then is really around voicing your value, communicating your value. Like you got to really speak up, because if you don't, people won't know about it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. And I love the believing in yourself. I mean, you have to have your own back in this world in every aspect of it. And so I think that belief in self is so incredibly important for anything that you do in any space of life. And when you believe so much in yourself, you know so much of your value, you just want to tell people about it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we have an audience here who said that I'm terrible about self-bragging. Can we just do an exercise of the audience live? Like, brag a little bit. Like, tell us a little bit what makes you amazing there.
Oh, I love
Can we
that.
just do a little of that exercise there?
Yes, can we? Because I want to hear about all of these amazing things everyone's doing.
I'm sure, right? Like, Jasmine, I want to hear from, I think we need to do a little bit of exercise, because this is such a powerful exercise about breaking here. It's really thinking about what are you really proud of there. Like, I want to share something like, I was reflecting this past month. I was like, wow, like I actually felt that drained this past month, and I actually reflect on it's because I've actually been doing a lot. I like to say positively occupied this last 5 months. Instead of saying busy, I've been positively occupied doing what I love. And when I reflect back was that I created 4 LinkedIn courses in 2 months. I created 4 LinkedIn courses in 2 months. I ran a mastermind, first time ever, international mastermind in Mexico with like 7 powerhouse career coaches. And I did some big talks. Like 2 days after I landed back from my mastermind, I had my big talk with UNICEF. Like hundreds of people like attended that one. And then I had another keynote talk just the other day, like end of the month there. And then I've been running a live stream show every single week since I got back and being on other live streams. So I was like, okay, this is why I'm feeling a little drained, because I have been on the go doing things that I like. And now I also need to make sure that I'm also resting and celebrating this. Like I'm giving myself a pat on the back. I'm like, yesterday, Jasmine, you know this, I went for a 2-hour massage because I had a headache.
Yeah. And I was like, yes, please do. And think of me when you're there. Send me some of the massage energy.
Right, right. So I give myself a pat on the back because people are not going to tell me this. Like, Diana, you did all this. No,
Yeah.
we tell ourselves that. So, Jasmine, what about you?
You know, I would say that there's almost kind of like a spiritual thing that I'm super
Mm.
proud of, and then there's also like a tactful thing, business thing that I'm super proud of. So I'll share both of them. But in terms of being proud in my business, I just recorded and filmed my first full length LinkedIn course. So just coming back now from California from the production,
Woohoo!
and it's on recovering and building after a layoff, which was a topic that I just wanted to tackle it because there's so much mindset stuff and confidence that comes up when you are shaken to the core after a layoff, which can be a very traumatic event. So I wanted to really take a different perspective for the course and make it very much about the mindset, the emotional impact, the processing, the hope, the possibility that you could see from this just as much as the tactful part. So I would say that that's my big like business win and something I'm really proud of. And then spiritually, I've come to this really interesting place recently where I've recognized that there was so much time in my life that I spent where I felt really lost. And I felt like I didn't understand or know my purpose in life. And I've come to this point of realization that everything that I've gone through in the 40 years of my life have brought me to this place where I truly feel like I have found my purpose for my soul to be here on this earth, which is truly to heal myself first as a model of what healing can look like for others and to really help them to do that as well. So I really take my healing, and not just my healing, but even my generational healing, so seriously because I want to truly represent what healing can do and provide and the freedom it can give you, your soul, every part of you. So that is something major that I am celebrating, is like really truly understanding why I'm here.
Oh, that is so beautiful. I felt so touched. Could
Thank you.
you address a question around healing? I feel like this is part of a big piece of the work that you do is what can people do to start healing and rebuilding their confidence?
Yeah, there's so much in there. And, I think that when it comes to healing, the first thing that I really had to do, which is kind of the hardest thing, I think, is to look at yourself and to ask yourself why you are continuing to allow yourself to not have the life or the career that you truly want and deserve. Because when we talk about things like bias, stereotypes, microaggressions, traumatic work environments, what I really urge everyone to do is to look at yourself and ask yourself, why are you even allowing yourself to experience these things? Why are you staying stuck in an environment that you know is not going to change? There are some things that happen that can be changed, but many of us are stuck in these cycles and environments of toxicity in different areas of our lives. And for some reason, we think we deserve to be there, or we think it's okay. And so I think it's really important that when you start the healing process, you start from the place of looking at yourself and understanding what you truly deserve as a human on this earth, which is joy and fun and all of the blessings that you want to bring in. And that starts to unlock some of those mindset pieces of, do I deserve something different? What do I deserve? And what do I want that to be? And creating community, getting support and getting help around exploring that is so incredibly essential and should not be done alone. So I think it's really important to look at yourself and look within when you start the healing journey, to get support and to know that the healing journey is not going to be necessarily easy, but it is going to be able to take you towards that place where you really get to define success on your terms and you get to navigate what that looks like and how to achieve it for yourself.
Yeah, yeah, that is so powerful. Oh my goodness. I love this. Thank you for sharing that. I just really resonated with that. And I want to ask the audience as we wrap up soon here is what are some of your biggest takeaways from our conversation today? And I would love to tie back to the topic of the show today is around how to navigate the bias and stereotypes in the workplace. I also have my advocate acronym that I would like to share. I really feel a big part of this is we really need to advocate for ourselves
Yes.
and advocate for others. Like that's one of the biggest things that you can do. So what I've been doing this year, I've been challenging myself, Jasmine, is being a content creator, being a coach who's been in the business for a decade now. Like I'm challenging myself to advocate for my other fellow coaches and speakers where if there's a great opportunity for them, I'm going to advocate for them. I'm going to introduce them. I'm going to endorse them. I want to start doing that, like really being also that role model, because when I think back of some of the opportunities that I've got, it was also because other people advocated for me. So I want to continue to pay that forward as well. So I want to offer others, right? Whether you are a person of color or whether you're not, like I want you to think about what are things that you can do to support one another there, right? So my first A is around acknowledging the bias. Bias exists. I love the saying that our friend Sweta said, like if we have brains, we have biases.
100%.
If we have brains, we have biases. We have to acknowledge that exist. And so that's the first step in terms of advocating yourself is that self-awareness piece. This may be implicit or explicit, but recognizing is the first step towards combating them, okay? Second is the D, is to develop your voice. Okay, this is huge. Developing your own voice is to do this by strengthening your communication skills, building your confidence to express your thoughts, your ideas, your feelings, whether it's through conversation, writing, public speaking. Developing your voice is essential to challenging assumptions and stereotypes, right? That's a huge piece. And I feel this is something I've been working on a lot the last several years. The third is the V, is to validate experiences, right? Listen to and validate experiences of others, especially of those who belong to more marginalized communities. Support their narratives and perspectives while also sharing your own experiences, okay, when appropriate. The next is the O, object assertively. If when you notice a bias or stereotypes, it's so essential to voice your objection, right? This is what my course is all about, is like speaking up, right? Practice assertive communication. Be direct, be honest, be respectful, and be loving as well, and expressing your disagreement and challenging those harmful assumptions. Okay? I think that's really, really important there. The next is the C, cultivate allies. This is key, right? Where you can build a network of allies that can be there to support you in combating these bias and stereotypes, right? They can amplify your voice, they can help provide support, join in as well in advocating for equity and inclusion. I think this is really, really important. It can really help you with widening, like, in terms of your influence as well there. Okay. And then A, ask questions. Like we don't know everything. If we don't understand something, right, we just got to ask, challenge those assumptions, right, to start a dialogue, ask thoughtful questions, to encourage individuals to reflect on their own preconceived notions and maybe even reconsider their biases there, okay? And the last one here is T, teaching others, going back to education, sharing your own experiences, your own knowledge about bias and stereotypes and the importance of diversity and inclusion with others. Okay, this can be done formally, like workshops, or informally, like conversations like this, because education is a powerful tool for change. And then lastly, the E, embrace continuous learning. Okay, we don't know everything. We got to challenge bias and stereotypes. It's not just a one-time effort. It's a lifelong commitment. Right? This is why this work feels hard, feels heavy. Like even for me, like I'm still learning. Like I have so much to learn. Right? We got to stay informed about new research, new strategies, best practices, and diversity, equity, inclusion there. Anything else you want to add, Jasmine?
I love that. And can I just say that I freaking love your acronyms? Like, how did I learn how to do this? Because I am not good at this like acronym thing. And you just got it on point, man. Embrace and advocate and just
So I have to tell you a little story here. The way I learned English in university to study was through acronyms.
So this is just embedded in you.
It's embedded in me since university days for me to memorize like psychology, history. Like, this is way too much for me. So I came up with acronyms, fun ways to learn and remember because I had
I love it.
trouble putting things together. So I had to do it my own way. And I would come up with words that's fun for me, that made it easier for me to learn. So it's embedded in me since, yeah, before my 20s there.
Amazing. I freaking love it. So good.
Yeah. So let's see. What are we hearing from the audience here? So Ross shared here. What is most proud of? Most proud of creating an empowering staff through continuous improvement activities that also build their own professional skills. Amazing. I love that. That's great.
I love
Oh,
that.
wow. Okay. Heal yourself first and represent what healing looks like. Okay. I think you struck a chord there. My takeaway is heal yourself first.
Yeah.
Advocate for yourself. Okay. There was one last question here we haven't answered here. I just want to wrap this up. How do you identify your values? What does that look like? So there's values and value. So values is more what's important to you, I would say.
Yeah.
So like your core values could be through your upbringing as well. Like I have a core value for respect, for authenticity, inspiration. So it's really looking at what's truly important to you. And I think that's really important that we want to align our core values of whatever we're doing, even navigating the workplace. Like, are you in a workplace that respect and honor your values there of what is important to you and what feels true to you? Value, that's another way of saying how to identify my own value, meaning like how do I stand out, is looking at more around your track record of success in terms of your knowledge, skills, and experience, your accomplishments, your results, your impact. That's how you help identify your own value, what differentiates you there. So that's a distinguish there. Okay. Yes. Any final advice as we close off here, Jasmine? This was so fun. I love it. It was actually very conversational. We didn't go through all the questions, but it worked out so well.
No, it was so fun. And I just think the last thing that I will say is truly everyone check out the course. It is so good. Rate it, leave your recommendation for it because that'll help boost it because we need people to be watching this.
You're absolutely right. I would love to encourage for those here is go watch it, leave a review, share it. One thing I'm going to brag a little bit about my husband, my awesome husband. The day that it launched, he watched it. He got his entire team to watch it.
Amazing.
He sent it to his VP and he sent it to the executive sponsor of the DEI at the company and asked if we could share it broadly. And so, yes, I got an email back that they're going to look into doing that. And the DEI director messaged me for potential speaking opportunities as well. So for those in the workplace, right, if you feel like this is needed, like please share it with your organization as well. It's free. It's a free course. Like share it. And if you feel like there's a need to bring like speakers as well, like contact us as well there. Right. It's such an important discussion there. Yes. Jasmine, when is your course launching? Tell us a little bit about your course. For those who are here, tell us a little bit. I'll do a little promotion here.
The date has not 100% been confirmed, but it's June 21st so far. So June 21st, the launch will happen for rebounding and recovering after a layoff. I'm so excited about it. I poured so much of my heart and soul into it, and I had an amazing time filming it. So it was absolutely wonderful. So yeah, June 21st. So if you do not follow me, please do, because I will be providing a special surprise on that date for everyone to watch the course. So.
Oh, it's pretty soon. It's only like 3 weeks away.
I know, it's wild.
And this is such an important course, right? Because it's around handling the emotions of a layoff.
Yes, the emotions, seeing possibilities, seeing hope. And I do go into strategic things as well, like how to talk about it with confidence, how to communicate, how to build your network, which is differently after a layoff. So there's a lot of strategy involved. But I also took that, it wouldn't be a Jasmine course without some, some flair, some optimism, some empowerment.
I love it. Sounds like I'm going to have you back again to when
Yes.
the course launches.
So that would be time 6.
It would be the 6th. You're going to be like the most popular guest speaker on my show there, right? We're going to talk about layoffs because it's such a hot topic right now. But what I love about this angle you took is around the emotions, which ties into the healing, the process as well, the energy aspect. And I want to say, like, for those who have been impacted by a layoff, like, take the time to process the emotions, right? Take the time to talk to people, to heal. I think that's so important because I've seen it as the other side as a recruiter and as a coach as well. When you take the time to process that, the way you show up in an interview is so much more different. You sound more confident. You sound more compelling. You sound more just amazing, essentially. And it really will help you with negotiating as well. So I'm so glad you have this course because it's really going to help a lot of people.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited about it. And I will definitely come on to promote it and share it widely.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here with me today and co-hosting the show. I loved it. So thank you so much. Make sure to follow both of us at Diana YK and Dr. Jasmine Escalera on our LinkedIns. Check out our courses on LinkedIn Learning as well. I already have 3 out now. I have How to Pivot Your Career, Presenting with Confidence, Navigating Bias. And then my other 2 that's coming out, Jasmine, in July and August is Digital Networking and Increasing Your Visibility at Work.
Amazing.
Which are also important topics there. So stay tuned for that. So thank you so much for joining us today. Take care, all.
All right, bye.